Quickies! Quickies! What's up, movie lover badasses? Fat Samurai Guy here, and today's Quickie review is for the film Warcraft. The film is about these orc warriors that invade the realm of Azeroth, and as the portal opens to connect both worlds, one army faces destruction and the other faces extinction. Warcraft is directed by Duncan Jones, who was known for directing films Moon and Source Code. Around that time, a lot of people were labeling him as the new king of science fiction cinema. But this time around, Duncan Jones is taking a shot at unfamiliar territory, the fantasy genre. Now, I have never played the video game, and I am not familiar with the lore, so I went in with really low expectations due to it being a video game film, and 80% of the time, all of those pretty much suck. I was just hoping for a nice, fun little fantasy flick. Now, for me, two of the film's highlights are the CGI effects and the character of Durotan, played by Toby Kebbell. Unfortunately, some of the CGI effects were not consistent. You would go from amazingly detailed close-up shots of some of the characters' faces to some CGI shots that really stood out like a sore thumb. And I knew something was wrong when Durotan, a CGI character, was way more interesting than the entire live-action cast. However, Durotan's character arc by the end of the film was a complete waste of time and was just disappointing to me. So now that just leaves us with really generic and forgettable characters. Ben Foster looks ridiculous in this movie. I mean, he looks so out of place. And I like Ben Foster. I think he is a good actor. But man, was he miscast as the wise old guardian. And Ben Schnetzer, who had so much screen time in this film, he plays the new up-and-coming rookie mage, and he was so uninteresting. Anybody could have played this part. And now let's talk about Travis Fimmel. I'm a big fan of his work in the TV series Vikings. The character that he plays, Ragnar Lothbrok, is such a badass. Now his character in this film, Lothar, did make me laugh a few times, and he was fine in the action sequences, but I just never bought him as the ultimate hero leader. And that could come down to bad writing, or Fimmel just didn't have the charisma needed to make that character work. Another thing that bothered me was that this film felt really expensive and cheap at the same time. You would have these big CGI set pieces, and yet some of the sets, weapons, and clothing just looked really cheap to me. Even the king's armor that he wore at the end of the film just looked like cheap plastic. Now, I didn't feel like the plot was hard to follow, but I did have moments where I felt like the movie just assumes I know who all these side characters are and what's happening in the story. For example, there is a scene involving these elder mages that came out of nowhere, and I was like, who the fuck are these guys? What's happening? And why should I give a fuck? Having moments like these spread throughout the film made the movie feel messy sometimes. And the forced love subplot between Lothar and Garona was just so stupid. There was absolutely no reason for both of these characters to love each other. Now for some positives, some of the action set pieces were very well done, especially in our end finale. We had some pretty good bone-breaking moments and some decent swordplay, but I've seen better. So overall, despite me not feeling any kind of emotion for any of the live-action characters, and the plot being a bit messy sometimes, I just can't bring myself to hate this film. This film is not the second coming of Battlefield Earth, okay? When it comes to the fantasy genre, I have seen way worse, but I have also seen much better. I think Duncan Jones did the best he could have, and from what I am hearing, fans of the game are really loving this movie, which I think is great. And believe it or not, even though I was a little underwhelmed with the movie, I am actually looking forward to more Warcraft films in the future. Just as long as they learn that it's not just about special effects, fan service, and action sequences. Let us get to know these characters so that when something happens, we will actually give a shit. So the question now is the film good enough to resurrect the video game film genre? The answer is no. Does it belong amongst the best game-to-film adaptations? I would say if you consider the first Mortal Kombat, the first Resident Evil, and the first Tomb Raider amongst the best, then the answer is yes, I do believe it deserves a spot there. So I give Warcraft 3 out of 5 stars. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.